Hey guys, Mr. Lloyd here. Going to work with you today on video 2 for May 6th. It's Wednesday, and today we're working on calculating the mean. The first part of today's work was a bit of review, just kind of getting our heads around what our goal is today. The second part, as you see, is this page that I've got on the screen. And we're going to work through it in this video. We're going to see a couple data tables. We'll calculate mean. We'll do a little comparison, calculating the mean, and we'll do some explanations as well. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's look at the very first one. First problem here on our page. We've got a data set. We've got Mr. Lloyd in the way, so let's move him. Do that. Maybe we can't. Let's see. There he goes. All right. So let's move it. I'll move it right over here because you can read this as well. What we're looking at over here is homework scores. This is a gal named Hannah, and she's been working on homework every day. Good for her. I'm really proud of you, Hannah. Well done. And she's listed her scores for each day just like this. The first job is to just using your English language skills, just write a sentence explaining the steps you'd follow to calculate the mean. So this is just the whole point of this is to kind of get your head, kind of jog your memory about what we are doing, finding mean. Pretty straightforward. We're just adding up all the scores, and since there are 5 days, we're going to divide by 5. And that quotient, whatever we get there when we do that division, will give us the mean. So pretty straightforward there. Problem 2, now we're just going to actually do what we just wrote up top. So we add them all up, we get a total of 455 points for the week. We have 5 days in the week, so we divide by 5 and we get 91. So that means that her average score every day was 91. Her average score for the week was 91. Okay? And then part 3 is just telling us, or asking you to write what we just calculated. Basically, if you were explaining what you just did in problem 2, if you're explaining it to your 2nd grade little brother or your parents, maybe you could quickly explain. You would just say 91 is the mean for Hannah's homework scores. This score represents a leveled out score for the week, or a value that's leveled out for the week. I'm not going to add to that. Okay, so problems 1, 2, and 3 pretty straightforward. We're using that table with homework scores and answering the questions as we work down the page. All right, problem 4 here. Maybe zoom out just a bit. Here, problem 4, we're going to use this data table, and in this case, it's important that we look at this closely. So we're looking at points scored. We're comparing player A to player B. We've got our games listed here in this column, and if you'll notice, player B has a couple of blank spots, and sometimes, as math thinkers, we've worked a lot throughout the year where we tried to fill in the missing values in a table, where there's a pattern in the table, and your job is to find that pattern. But in this case, these are blank for a reason, and if we look closely and we read these instructions, they explain it to us. It says one player missed the first 2 games of the season. So these scores aren't, he's not going to have scores because let's say his leg was healing and he missed the first 2 games of the season. So couldn't play, but on game 3, this person was able to play and put some points on the board. And we've got it listed there. So what we've got to do is figure out which player made a greater contribution to the team on a game-by-game basis. And it's important that we focus on this notion, game by game, because that should be a signal to your brain to find the mean for both player A and player B. And so game by game is another way of saying if we leveled out the scores and we gave them a point scored per game, instead of having all these variable numbers, you just had one common number all throughout this table, then we could compare player A and player B real quick, and we could say who has done more for their team. And so let's do that. So player A, I calculated here in pink. We add up all player A's totals. We just add up this column here, and we get a total of 56. There were 8 games played for player A, because this person has some number of points per each game. And when we divide 56 by 8, of course, we get 7. Okay, we'll do the same process for player B. We add up player B's totals, get 48. Player B only played in 6 games. The first 2 didn't count. And so when we divide 48 by 6, we get 8. So of course we're just comparing 8 and 7, and we know that 8 is greater. So another way we're saying this is player B scored 8 points per game, player A scored 7 points per game. So who scored more points per game? Of course, player B. Okay, so that's a way to use the calculating the mean to do a little comparison. Steph Curry versus LeBron James, Serena Williams versus Venus Williams, etc. Okay, very, very useful. Calculating the mean, like I said, you'll see it a ton if you're a sports fan or if you're an athlete yourself. You'll see it a ton throughout your life. So definitely a good thing to continue to practice and continue to build up your skills so that you understand what we're talking about when we talk about mean and averages and all these different things. So keep working hard, guys. Thank you for watching this video. Keep the questions coming through Zoom, through email, phone call, chat, text message, YouTube comments, Google Classroom comments. Keep it all